Hey guys, welcome back to another impressions video, and today we're going to talk about Remember Me for the PlayStation 3, an action beat 'em up game developed by a French studio called DontNod and published by Capcom. And unfortunately, I believe the developer of this game filed for bankruptcy not too long ago. So yeah, this game was offered as a free PlayStation Plus game a few weeks ago, and unfortunately, just my luck, I bought this game for pretty cheap. And a few days after I bought the game, it was announced as a PlayStation Plus free game. So, nevertheless, I'm happy to have the actual physical copy. But as far as the game goes, I have mixed feelings about this game. There are some high points and low points that I'm going to be discussing as the video progresses. But as usual, I'm going to start with the story. It's a pretty interesting story. It has some flaws in it, but I'm going to be very brief and without spoiling anything, talk a little bit about it. Essentially, the game is set in Neo-Paris in the year 2084, a very futuristic and cyberpunkish type of setting that is pretty interesting, and it deals with something that maybe we can relate today. Nowadays we have all this social media power with Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus and all that, and essentially in the future they have this company called Memorize, and they have invented this device which allows people to upload their memories and also modify past memories, so you can forget about things that maybe make you sad or depressed and whatnot. But things go wrong from there because this company called Memorize, they start abusing that power, and at the same rate people or humans start abusing that, and a lot of things go wrong. And essentially this group of rebels is formed to fight against this company called Memorize. And Nilling, the main protagonist of this game, it's part of that group, but the game begins with her being imprisoned by Memorize because you got captured, and then you finally manage to escape, and after that you're set to put revenge against that company. So other things happen along the way. The story is pretty interesting. It does have some maybe plot holes along the way, which was a little bit bothersome, but overall I'd say that the story was pretty decent. Now, as far as the high points in the game, one of them is the setting, which I already kind of went briefly. The game takes place in 2084 in Neo-Paris, and that's probably the highest point in the game, the biggest positive. The setting in this game is amazing. I really enjoyed walking through the city, walking on the rooftops of the city, trying to explore this Neo-Paris setting, which is extremely interesting and extremely well done. The art in this game is fantastic. As you go along the game, there are some collectibles that unlock the art of the game, and then you can go to the options menu and you can look at the art. And I spent a lot of time just looking at this concept art in the game because the setting is absolutely brilliant. The graphics help a lot. Both the character models and the overall atmosphere of the game is pretty well done. For being a 2013 game, I think the graphics are very good. With a special note on the lighting effects in this game, it has a very light, fake almost type of lighting effect that works remarkably well with the setting. Now, the setting is great, the graphics are pretty good, but unfortunately the setting also creates a negative point in the game, and I'm gonna move on into the gameplay with that in that regard, because the setting is so interesting that you want to explore more, but the game is extremely linear. Basically, the game combines elements from the Batman Arkham games as far as the combat system, and elements from the Uncharted series as far as the platforming and exploration. So you have these segments in the game where the platforming is extremely scripted. So for instance, you'll be on a rooftop on a building on Neo-Paris, and you have to go from point A to point B, and the only way to get there is by going to the scripted places that the game wants you to go. And these places are marked with like a orange arrows, so you have to, if you want to jump from one place to another, there's only one way you can go. So for instance, there'll be a ledge with an orange arrow, and you know you have to push the X button to jump into that ledge, and you can grab on it, and then you know it's similar to the Uncharted games in that regard. But it's so bothersome because the same type of ledge will be on a different spot on the rooftop, and you know it makes you wonder, why can I not grab that other ledge and explore maybe the other part of the rooftop, or try to get to point B on a different route and things like that. Now obviously I'm sure the budget for this game was somewhat limited, but it would have been nice if they opened the game a little bit more, if they allowed a little bit more of exploration. Ideally, I think this game would have been great if it had some open worldness to it. But you know, there's nothing we can do about it. The game is already done, and unfortunately, it's very scripted and very linear, which is a shame because again, the Neo Paris setting is absolutely fantastic, and it's one of my favorite settings of this past generation. Now, as far as the combat system, I already said that it's a beat 'em up game, very similar to the Batman Arkham games, but unfortunately, there are some great ideas on the combat system. You can create and customize your own combos, and then you can unlock different type of hits, if you will. If you create a combo, you can have hits that regenerate your health, hits that will break the enemy's guard. So you can combine all these little perks, if you will, create a combo of your liking, and then all you have to do is remember the configuration of the combo, and then from that point on, just execute it. Problem is that the execution of the combos, it's pretty slow, and it's almost rhythm based. It doesn't work like the Batman games where the free flow system is really smooth. It's very intuitive. Here the combat is very slow, and you have to almost hit the buttons on a rhythmic type of way that it's really it's not optimal, unfortunately. Also, the create your own combo system creates some limitations, but essentially, like I said, it's a ripoff of the Batman Arkham games combat system, but done in a very sluggish and slow way. The ideas and concepts were interesting, the whole creating your own combos, and then after you get so many hits, you can recharge this meter at the bottom, and then you can use like special moves that you unlock throughout the game, and they have special effects, and it's pretty cool. I get what the developer was trying to do. It's just that the execution was not the best, which is unfortunate. So the gameplay, again, it's essentially a mixture of the Batman Arkham games with some Uncharted, I guess, platforming, and a little bit of Watch Dogs, if you will, in terms of the presentation, because you can pretty much everything in this universe, in this world, has like a little message on top of when you walk through a shop. It tells you the name of the shop, the hours that it's open, things like that. It gives you information about things that you don't really necessarily care, but it's a pretty cool touch. Now, as far as the soundtrack, pretty decent soundtrack. I really like the main theme of the game, the title song, if you will. There are some pretty nice orchestral pieces in the game. So pretty interesting. Nothing too memorable, but a good enough soundtrack. And as far as the length of the game, I believe it took me about maybe from 8 to 10 hours. I played the game on normal difficulty, and there are some collectibles along the way. I did not collect everything, but like I said, it's pretty cool because you unlock concept art, and then you can go back to the options menu, check the concept art, and things like that. And the length of the game is pretty appropriate. I'm glad I did not purchase this game on day one, because again, the gameplay has a lot of flaws. The story is not great. It's good, but it's not great. The game, it works. It works if you can get past that sluggish type of combat system. And again, it's like a 10-hour action game, so A lot of people probably got this for free as a PlayStation Plus game. I would definitely say give it a shot just to see the setting. And another, I guess, minor complaint is that the Neo Paris setting, it's not all the levels are based on that setting. So there are some levels where you're inside a lab, and those settings are a little bit too repetitive and not as fun to I guess explore, and not as detailed as well. The characters in the game are somewhat likable. The main character, Nilin, she has a cold personality. She's not very warm, but towards the end of the game, you learn a lot about her childhood and things like that. And the game opens up a little bit more towards the end in terms of the characters and getting to know them and things like that. So with that being said, I had somewhat of a good time with Remember Me. Like I said, I have mixed feelings. I think the combat system and the gameplay overall, it's not great. It's not revolutionary or anything like that, which is a little bit of a shame. But on the other hand, the presentation, the art direction, the atmosphere, the Neo Paris setting was very well done. If you're into cyberpunk settings and things like that, give this game a shot. You can get it for cheap nowadays anyway. So Remember Me, fairly good game. I'm happy I played it, but yeah, make sure you get it for cheap if you want to try it. So that's it for now. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later.